Hello everyone, welcome back. Imposter syndrome, a big issue of humanity today, humanity as a collective. It's something that needs to be addressed. Well, it's being addressed, but it's not just being addressed. Like, being addressed means that you need to purge that out of your system. And obviously this is a process, but first that thing has to be acknowledged. So it's a big issue of humanity. Humanity, it's experiencing this now as the energy, during this transition. So how's that formed? It starts in the family, in the smallest unit. And usually it's the parent that strips away the child from its own authority and autonomy over oneself, because you have that thing in your head. Well, the child, you think that has no discernment of what's good and bad, and in the beginning it may be so, but this turns into something that actually, instead of like correcting that thing, instead of like that guidance turns into something that the parent usually strips away the younger generation, the child, from its own autonomy and authority over him or herself long term. And how this happen is simply by the parent refusing to acknowledge that discernment when that is present in a child, that child is conscious and responsible for his or her actions, that they know what they're doing, that when they're doing that, they know that this is going to happen, or like they're not being taken serious when the child presents the parent with something like an idea or something, say, hey, I would like to do this or whatever, and the parent refuses or rejects completely an idea, saying this is stupid, you don't know what you're doing, you're a child. Again, that thing, you're a child. And this long term turns into something that, well, strips one of actually trust and confidence long term. So this is the way parents disrespect, well, those that are older usually disrespect the younger generation. But of course it happens vice versa as well, but like this is where it starts. And why does this happen in the end? Well, this actually, if we have to go even more back in time, where knowing what you're doing and being responsible, and life was about other things, so it was much more dangerous to do certain actions. So if you didn't know what you're doing, then you put in danger not just yourself and your family, but the whole community, the tribe, the whatever, that small community or bigger community. And so that authority would be basically stripped out of you or taken out of you because you're unable to make sure that the rest is going to be okay in face of danger, in face of adversity and things like that. So this comes from a time when there was less energy, less light. Fear was much more stronger present in a bigger way, in a much more solid, immense way, so to speak. So, and that has been perpetuated throughout time, through generations and generations, and brought into the present through obviously all this family, bloodline, things like that, into the present time, where life, for most life on the planet, it's not about that very radical survival thing that, hey, you have to do certain things, you have to have a certain mind to survive. So that thing is brought into the present as a thing that it informs us about this very big danger that is going to happen, when in fact it's not. So it's a pattern that comes from a time there was less energy, but it affects us in a big way now as things are changing. And the effect of that is that people suffer from this thing called imposter syndrome. So what is that in the end? The imposter syndrome. Like I said earlier, usually we are stripped of our autonomy, of our authority over ourselves from the moment we are brought into this world, instead of having a conscious guiding of the one that's whatever older or has more experience or should know more than me or you at the moment of as when we insert ourselves, and whatever the energy allows for one to be aware, well, depending on the codes and things like that. So it will differ from time to time. But anyway, so the person that is already here and should be able to guide you, actually carrying this trash, this baggage from the past, affects the quality of that guiding, if there is any guiding, because sometimes it's not even a guiding, it's just basically you're just thrown out into the life and it's like good luck. For a lot of people, I know that. So it basically rips you apart inside, and you're unable to really believe in yourself, to distrust life. So the cause of this thing is basically this basic disrespect of like one's ability to have, especially like I said, when you understand that everyone in the end has that ability to discern, if that ability is grown. So if you disrespect that ability and you do not cultivate that ability, then you just strip someone of trust and confidence in oneself and ultimately in life. And then you start to have this anxiety, because that's where that then you have anxiety. It's like, oh, how anxiety is generated then? Well, because of this, because all of a sudden you're supposedly like you're not unable to discern, and you don't know what to do, and you feel helpless and small, and basically life becomes something dangerous. You feel threatened, and this becomes increasingly so as this thing is well, also with the new energy, because it's a clash between the old and the new in terms of energy. So you can feel it very extreme, especially if you have certain codes. So these things clash really, really badly at the present moment, because like I said, it's the old energy that represents a certain block, certain type of reality, which is built on like a lot of fear. And this energy now that actually says like, no, that's not true, there's so much light and love and whatever. So wants to basically dissolve, break away, it's like dismantle this, in the end, this fear, what's inside, this illusion. So it creates a lot of anxiety inside. So, and on top of that, you are the distortion of this old reality. So you it's like, it feels like it's an impossible trap to get out of it. It's a prison for the mind. And most people, if not everyone, lives in that kind of prison with not just one type of behavior, I mean, this type of issue, but many other stuff. So in this sense, adults, and actually most people, if not everyone, are dysfunctional here, because people carry in their system this type of things that come from this type of behaviors that are generated from older experience, older energetic environments, and how things, life awareness was back then and brought into the present, where there's no need for that. So you continue that, and this turns into something that is like, what the hell is this? So how do we get out of this? Well, the first thing is we acknowledge that we have a problem, and you communicated with who that thing formed. Either that was done to you or you done that, especially if you're a parent, because this type of like stripping one of its own, how should I say, authority and autonomy over him or herself happens throughout the life. But like I said, it starts in the family as when you're a child. So this only plays out in different whatever scenarios with other people later on in life. So you have to see where that started, where it originated, and yeah, that's the first thing. You have to acknowledge that thing that exists and talk this out and cry, whatever it's necessary for that thing to be released. And of course, I explained the process of how to do that, but of course it needs time. Because the other thing that this thing needs or needed until now was time, because something like this has formed in time. Certain actions, certain words, certain situations were perpetuated, repeated in time over a long period of time. So that's why that thing is like that person cannot believe in him or herself, that they can do this or that, or to, I don't know, overcome certain situations in life because they say, it's impossible, I can't do that, whatever. So the other thing in repairing this whole thing is basically doing the opposite of what was done, that stripped that person away from its his or her own autonomy, authority over him or herself. And this cannot be done just one time, say, oh, we're done now, we're solved. No, because this was built in time, so you need time to undo the damage. So the first thing is to acknowledge that there is this thing, there's this damage, and it's deeply there, encoded, and that's why there are certain things that you cannot, even when you're trying to do, you have a situation in life, and let's say professionally, where you think you're going to be okay because look, I've done all the right things, but then there's this thing sabotaging you that says, no, you can't, it doesn't matter how good you are, it's like you're still a fraud, you're still whatever. So that always is going to continue to nag you but basically sabotage you constantly, no matter what you do, where you are, and how much work you put into something. So that's one aspect, because there's more than just that. It won't allow you to grow as a person, won't allow you to go beyond certain things that you think you needed to do or to express, and actually moving further in what I call in other videos like more life, making those shifts, because you will be trapped. Your mind is trapped in that thing where you always feel like you're, oh, they're gonna catch me one day, and it's like they're gonna discover that I'm not this or whatever, and they're gonna punish me, destroy me. So you have to work on that first. In order to free that space inside, so that thing won't hold you back. And that's a lot of work. And most people are, like I said, they do all these sort of spiritual things that are actions that are outside of themselves, instead of bringing all that inside and just stay with themselves and acknowledge this, and also process and going through this cleansing process that takes time. And like I said, it's not sexy, but it will give you freedom, and in so many ways, and you will be able to see that there's more to life than what you see or understand or experience right now. So yeah, this is a big issue that has to be, and it will be released in the next decade, that are, well, in the time ahead. Humanity has to purge this, and will purge this, to move into higher realities. I hope this was interesting. See you next time. Ciao.